Satipatthana Sutta, the four foundations of mindfulness. Today, we are going to start the third session of the Satipatthana Sutra. Sampajana Pabba. Earlier, I think Venerable Thero, you can remember when it comes to Iryapatha Pabba, Pajana. But here we get another term, Sampajana. So that is also very important. When associating different postures, of course, we have to just be mindful. But when it comes to eating, touching, and sometimes when associating sense faculties, there we have to be really mindful. We have to be very mindful, properly mindful. That's why Sampajana is, that particular term is used here. So having made it clear, I think we can proceed. In this section of Satipatthana discourse, the practitioner is guided to further maintain mindfulness when being active in day-to-day life. So now here onward, where the practitioner is going to make the day-to-day life meditation. We have to make our day-to-day life total meditation. For that purpose, we are correctly guided under this Sampajana section. As an example, when a thought arises in mind, igniting desire to have something or just to enjoy something, the individual makes some effort. He tries out to develop some setting so that he can see, hear, feel, touch, smell, taste, and have some sensual type of experience of desired object. So here we have to be properly mindful, perfectly mindful. But when associating postures, we can simply be mindful to the posture that we associate at the time being. But here, the mindfulness is further tuned. Mindfulness is further made advanced. And again, what is happening here is to take the general life into meditative mode. In this section of discipline, the individual is guided to filter it in mind itself. So you know that before put something into action verbally or physically, initially a particular thought surfaces in the mind. So when a particular thought arises in mind, without directly putting that into sensual faculties, the other type of sensual faculties, the mind has to filter it, purify it, without allowing such thoughts to pass on to sense faculties for experience. Before putting anything into action, the initial thoughts arises in mind. If it is disagreeable, if it is not in accordance of Dhamma, it can be diffused in the mind itself without passing them on to other sense faculties. Accordingly, the mind can be made regulated and trained to be in the middle. We can train the mind not to associate the duality. We can regulate it. Once a thought surfaces in the mind, the object which comes to the mind needs to be purified with mindfulness. So, the purification is done with mindfulness, which means mindfulness is used to purify the object or the initial thought before sending them to faculties of eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. Then the object is treated well, as the practitioner is well aware of the thought process, worldly phenomena, defilements, fetters, and hindrances. The practitioner is well aware about all those when he comes to this particular state. So he can purify the thoughts that come into mind before they are put into action, verbally or physically. The object can be attractive, interesting, colorful, enticing, emanating, soft, maybe very delicate, and so on. Inside of the desired object can be rather dangerous with worldly evils, defilements. So when a particular object meets the mind, it can be very attractive because its proper function and inside is not vividly visible from outside. When thinking accordingly, the practitioner can diminish clinging to the object. Even though it is very attractive, it can be rather dangerous. Insight can be very dangerous. When associating, only one can understand. When practically associating, only one can understand the proper nature of things. The mind must be given necessary awareness of mindfulness, not to use it so that it arises, defilements, hindrances or fetters. If he hears a sound, and if it is necessary to see, it is seen. Otherwise, not. If the practitioner is not, if the practitioner thinks that it is not something to be seen, he can simply avoid, or he can stay without caring, developing further thoughts on it. And discipline acquired in contemplation. Because when meditating, of course, a particular discipline developed. At this stage, that discipline which was developed when meditating can now be used when it is needed. The mindfulness is just like the shadow of the individual. Now you know that when we are seated, the shadow is also seated with us. When we stand, the shadow stands, even the shadow stands with us. Here the mindfulness behaves just like shadow. All the time, the mindfulness is present. It is just like a flash, which helps to see things properly, which helps to see things in reality. When a contact occurs, mindfulness awakes and secures the individual. The tamed mind now treats him well. That is what we just call Dhammo Have Rakkati Dhammacaya. When one lives up to Dhamma, he is protected by Dhamma itself. That means if we develop some sort of mentality, wholesome mentality within us, those develop discipline, presence, when defilements are to surface in mind. They come and protect. For the purpose, the individual can make use of Suttamaya Jnana. So in a particular, sometimes you know that different kinds of mentalities can be surfaced in minds. There is such tendency. So when worldly type of mentalities arise, if they are harmful, the individual can suppress them with these four factors. Suttamaya Jnana, knowledge acquired by learning. By learning Dhamma, some sort of knowledge is acquired. So when there is a necessity, or when there is some, if the mind is going to be involved in sort of worldly negative phenomena, which occurs sort of impact, that Suttamaya Jnana, or knowledge acquired by learning Dhamma, comes and protects the individual. Then Chintamaya Jnana, knowledge acquired by reason. මනසින් සම්මර්ෂණය කරලා තාර්කිකව හිතලා දියුණු කරගන්න මට්ටම. චින්තාමය ඥාන. When one learns a lot of Dhamma, he can be mature enough. That maturity helps to develop the second approach, Chintamaya Jnana, knowledge acquired by reason. He has the power of reason. He can activate, he can be autonomous, he can be activate his thinking in different ways, different angles, and understand the reality. Subjectively as well as objectively. And then comes Bhavana Maya Jnana, knowledge acquired by contemplation, knowledge acquired by meditation. So when meditating, of course, we can develop sort of insight regarding oneself. That means the whole, the psychophysical life process, which is the entity which is taken to be life, is vividly analyzed, clearly analyzed when practicing insight or vipassana meditation. Even that knowledge of meditation can be used just to evade from defilements, evade from worldly phenomena which gives negative impacts. And Dhamma usually Dhamma means the law of truth or the law of nature. When putting on clothes, a lot of defilements, patha, even when putting on clothes or wearing dresses, a lot of defilements can surface in one's mind. So that is also a particular place where certain worldly defilements can emerge in an individual's mind. The individual may tend to use clothing for seeking honor. The mentality of conceit and proud can emerge in mind due to clothing. Therefore, one has to be mindful not to arise such evils in mind along with clothing. That's why mindfulness is needed there. Here, the practitioner is well protected from evils in every perspective, every behavior in life. Even when answering call of nature, the individual has to be mindful, as it too can cause evils. So that is also a particular place where evils can surface in one's mind. So that is also a natural life process where we have to be really vigilant. He has to think that I have to discharge excrement and urine to ease with the body. I cannot stay without releasing it. And again, the essence of the food has been extracted and discharge the residue. My physical body is formed with the support of these kinds of temporary stuff. So this is very important point. If we deeply consider on this particular matter, it will help to dilute the concept of ego, the idea of selfness, because we cannot argue permanent entity related to life like soul or selfness or ego, because the physics of the life or this particular life is developed from decaying and changing phenomena like food and oxygen. Food is turned into excrement. So if we deeply consider, we can understand in life, permanent kind of soul or selfness cannot be formed with these impermanent kind of phenomena like food and all. So that point is also there. So the idea of universal truth of Tilakkana is emphasized each and every part of this teaching. The life is formed with causes of suffering. I have not learned how to live life without causing suffering. Now I am not suffering from external causes. I now use my temporary body to achieve eternal freedom. I must live to develop virtues and make it free from the world. So now we know that this particular life is developed with impermanent kind of phenomena, and this is not something that we can continue. So we have to use it so that so that we can be liberated from itself. The life is used for the purpose of liberation, freedom, emancipation. So sampajana pabba punacha param bhikkave bhikkhu abhikkante. When going forward, now the contemplative mode or meditation is applied to day-to-day life. All the time, we cannot be seated and practice anapanasati. There we can develop some kind of very strong mentality of mindfulness. And thereafter, we have to apply that meditative discipline, contemplative practice into day-to-day life. So even at this section of Sampajana, just like Iriyapata, we are going to practically involve meditation in day-to-day life. So all the time, for different purposes, we have to go forward. When going forward, we have to be alert, vigilant, that we are going forward. And for purposes, we have to turn the direction. Patikkanti. Turns and walk and coming back. Even when turning and coming back for different purposes of life, we have to be vigilant. Sampajankari, well aware. In Iriyapada Pabba Pajana. So when associating different postures, simply mindfulness is sufficient. When walking, we can just walk. Being mindful, we can continue walking. But here, we have to develop mindfulness properly, thoroughly. Because these are areas where mindfulness can be deviated. Alokite, we are looking front. Sometimes we have to look front, look in front. When looking in front, if we are Sampajankari, if it is a particular thing to be seen, we can understand, we have to see it. Otherwise, we can avoid without looking at it. And Vilokite, looking sideways. Sampajankari, Samminjite, folding limbs or bodily organs. All the time we cannot have our limbs or bodily organs erected or straight. We have to have them in a flexible manner as required. And pasarite, stretching or unfolding limbs. Sampajankari hoti, have to be thoroughly aware, properly mindful. And Sangati Patta Chivara Dharani, clothing and using utensils. Wearing robes and holding begging bowls. That includes, when it comes to general terms, we can say clothing and using related or necessary utensils have to be Sampajankari. When wearing clothes, conceit, honor, pride, these defilements need be suppressed. So when we select clothing, Defilements can be surface. There we have to think that we use these clothings for general requirement, not for any other purposes. If we are going to be dominant, or we are going to deceive with a conceited mind, having worn very expensive clothing, then again we are developing worldly clinging. Sampajankari hoti asite, having meals, pite, having drinks, kayate, eating desserts. So we can consume, we can taste anything, we can bring necessary kind of things with the knowledge without using unnecessary kind of food. So we can be selective, or we can be choosy with necessities when having meals mindful. If somebody is having meals while looking at television, there he doesn't have any idea what he should eat or what he is eating. Sometimes maybe he's not aware that it is kind of suitable food for him. And Uchara Passava Kamme, answering call of nature, or in discharging excrement and urine. So there we have to think that we can't have them in, we have to release them to relax ourselves, to make our body comfortable so that we can achieve the main objective in which we are involved. Sampajanakari hoti, gate walking, tite standing, nisinne sitting, sutte having rest or sleeping, jagrati breaking rest, bahasite talking, tunni bhavi keeping quiet or silent. When doing all these things, when using sensual faculties along with postures, now we are expanding the behavior of an individual in day-to-day life. Even when expanding, we have to expand mindfulness as well. And Patikula Manasikara Pabba, we commit all defilements, grasping and clinging on to life. So you know that when looking at a vehicle, we get attracted to the vehicle that we see if it looks really new or good. But if it can be dismantled and heap of or put those old parts and accessories, if we can pile up, or if we can heap all those parts after dismantling, we don't feel any sort of attraction. Likewise, when analyzing life in different ways, different angles, we can dilute the concept of soul or ego or selfness, because it is the biggest barrier for understanding as well as achieving emancipation or freedom. Or we commit all kind of defilements, grasping and clinging on to life, grasping on to personification, clinging on selfness. So we have to dilute that concept of selfness in different ways. If the existence of life is not there, we don't commit any evils and no suffering causes. All evils or defilements occur in the course of fulfilling expectations of selfness, was all concerns of ego. When the concerns of ego or selfness or soul is there, thereafter it is bound with expectations. It is covered with hopes. If thoughts arise connected with hopes of selfness, they are evils. If a particular thought arises, if a hope or expectation arises, that means expectations of selfness, ego, thereby defilements arise, which create worldly suffering. Evils or defilements do not occur when the mind is used excluding the concern of ego or selfness. We always struggle with these selfish hopes. We cannot end clinging till we properly understand the root causes and sources of it. The individual is entangled in expectations of sensations. We have to do away hopes at the moment they arise. In this section, the root causes are elucidated so that we can eradicate them, so that we can suppress them. If we can live without hopes, actually thereby we can live a really happy life. Right? If we take an example, you see that now somebody is not well and he gets back home a bit earlier from his working place, thinking that there will be a lot of supports from the family members, as he is not well, as he is ill. But when he returns home, when he comes back home, when he gets home, nobody cares him. But he came home a bit earlier, thinking that everybody will help him as he is not well. But it doesn't happen as he wished. Then he gets fully upset because he came with a lot of expectations, hopes of getting a lot of helps and supports from the members of the family, but it doesn't happen. Then he is frustrated. He is disappointed and annoyed. That frustration and annoying caused due to expectations. That is actually a particular simple example. Wherever we maintain expectations, there we get suffering and different kinds of difficulties to life, because we cannot maintain expectations as we wish. We always struggle with these selfish thoughts. We cannot end clinging till we properly understand the root causes and sources of it. The individual is entangled in expectations. Pieces are decayed. Elements of digested food. The essence is extracted. Asuchi means unsuitable or inappropriate. These 32 parts support suffering and grievances. They are beyond my control. Now we can talk about hair or body mass or any other organ. Sometimes, you know, that we think that they support our life, but most of the time, they cause a lot of suffering and grievances. They make me suffer at any time. I have to use them as they cannot cause suffering to me in future. These parts give suffering now for the sake of living, and they cause suffering even in future if I don't use them for purpose of diminishing suffering. These parts have no value. I got them due to past karmic effects by me. So if an individual wants to understand what his past karma, he can stand in front of mirror and he can see himself. When one stands in front of mirror, he can see himself. He can see his karma. So we have to understand the total body, mind and matter, and these organs. Now we have got all these things due to the past karma or karmic effect by the individual. I got this body due to my own karmic performances of past lives. Some stream of past energies of my own performance pass on to me for forming this entity of mind and matter. Now I have to use them for the purpose of freedom, emancipation, liberation of the same. So it must be the main objective of life. Now we have come to this life. Now we are born in this realm of human existence. It happened due to past karmic effects. Now what we have to do is to use it for the purpose of liberation. So we cannot use something unrelated to life for releasing life. We have to use the life itself for purification or for emancipation. Life is not something giving comfort. We must not purposely do a lot. To protect and maintain it. We have to use suitable food. We have to maintain very clearly. But we must not live for the sake of protecting and maintaining life. Life is going on. It is ongoing process. We have to use that particular process for the purpose of emancipation. Because emancipation can be achieved from this life itself, not from something outside. What we have to do is to properly use it for useful objectives of liberating. There we can eat, we can do anything. We can live the life the way that we like, we can maintain it properly, but we have to deeply understand, however we maintain this, however we treat our body and mind, we can't continue life with that. They exist according to causes and effects. The life of body is formed with decaying properties and elements. Having understood this, we have to make maximum use out of it towards liberation. One must look at the real nature of decaying parts when a cause arises to think of. We must not think of probable future. It is not admitted in this teaching, Buddhism. We can't cling on the future, but we have to maintain it. We have to use life so that we cannot have any negative impact. One must not cling on future. One must not keep on thinking these parts as impermanent when there is no issue related to them. If we just now, you know that if you don't have any issue in your skin or any organ, you cannot keep on thinking that they are impermanent like that. We have to understand, or we have to concentrate when there is a kidney failure or any ailment related to kidneys. There we can understand how they form. What are the properties and elements support for forming that organ? Then we can understand it has tendency of getting all these illnesses. It is beyond my control. Likewise, all the time we must not think that life is impermanent and suffering and not. When there is an issue in particular organ or a particular part of body, there we have to understand the reality and concentrate their impermanence. When they are working properly, that is no point of thinking them like impermanent and they are not quite okay. The individual is highly attached to this body, though it is perishable. It is considered to be I, me, my mind, and so on. This blindness of thinking, this blindness of clinging, further develops very deep sense of ego or selfness. It keeps the individual away from reality of own life. When one is of deep concern of the body to be his soul or existence, he sees something permanent in him and develops concerns over the same. Due to this hard clinging, one compels to commit numerous things to comfort it, please it, protect it, attractively maintain it, compare it with others, develop identity, compete with each other, and so on. In this self-based clinging process, one engages in tiresome rat race. It brings him endless suffering. It becomes rather tedious too. Because as an example, however much we protect, care, and maintain our skin, we cannot keep it as we wish. It fades away. It shrinks. It damages. It gets infected. It gets itchy rashes. It gets discolored. Likewise, it has its own nature of getting different kinds of negative impacts on it. It is beyond our control. We can do nothing about that. So, but we should not think all those negative kind of things when the skin is quite okay. When there is a particular issue or problem or illness or disease related to skin, we can think of the reality related to skin. It gets forms from perishable things. So it deserves all these things. It's nature. So thinking that we should not avoid treating. When there is a skin problem, we have to treat it properly. We have to go to the doctor, we have to go for medication. So that is there. Even while getting those kind of medicines and all, we have to make some effort to rectify it, correct it, maintain it. But we have to understand the reality. The skin is formed with perishable kind of things, different kind of changing particles, phenomena. So it deserves all these things. So when it is okay, we have to use it properly so that we can permanently be free from all those negative type of impacts which can occur at any time. Because the skin stays and processes according to the properties with which it develops. Those properties cannot stay permanent. When they react with different contacts, different other chemicals, different impacts can occur. It is inevitable because they form with the food we consume and the oxygen we inhale. So we have to understand, we develop this skin with something perishable, with something impermanent, with something changing. So it is not developed with something permanent. It is not developed with something eternal. So there we can have, likewise, we have when there is an ailment or disease or any kind of issue in an organ or in the whole body, we have to go for treatment. That is there. But while treating, we have to reflect. We have to thoroughly concentrate the reality related to them, the authentic nature of them. So we have to understand it deserves above all attributes of impermanence. Skin deserves all those negative impacts. Here the individual is directed to consider the properties and elements with which the body forms. None of those organs or parts cannot stay the same. Now when there is a cancer in a particular organ of the body, with medication or any medicinal treatment, sometimes maybe we can cure it. We can cure that part. But again, there can be another cancer in the same organ or another or elsewhere in the same body. because we cannot remove the tendency of having diseases and cancers permanently. As long as this kind of existence is there, all those negative impacts, this body deserves all those negative impacts, diseases, ailments, or negative issues. So here the individual is directed to consider the properties and elements with which the body forms. None of those organs or parts cannot stay the same. So in this particular Manasikara, we very comprehensively, very vividly understand the reality of our own physique or body in another angle. Which is very meaningful. Anything can happen to them. This understanding makes the individual mature enough to use the body and life without clinging. So, when an individual leads the life, having understood all these things as they are, he is happy. He can confront anything good or bad with light mind, happy mind. And tries to make the maximum use of it towards maturity of understanding the reality objective. It doesn't mean that one should keep on thinking negatively of his life all the time. Understanding things as they are not negative. So if somebody says that we are talking about these dirty things of life, and it is really awesome, unawesome, it's really bad. So we cannot consider like that, because understanding things as they are not negative. It helps to awaken wisdom, because we are reaching the reality and live the life happily without being foolishly attached. Use it having understood the reality. One should not keep on thinking that these things are perishing, rotting, decaying, changing, and impermanent repeatedly all the time. When those organs or parts of the body, when they are okay, we must not keep on thinking these are perishing, rotting, decaying, changing, impermanent, something like that, repeated continuously all the time. So that is not advice here. As an example, when the skin damages or defaces or gets distorted due to some kind of skin disease, the individual can go for treatment and cure it. But he thoroughly understands that there something can happen. Something of this type can happen to the skin. But the scar or stain or suffering can remain quite long. There the individual must not be disappointed or frustrated or annoyed. One can do the maximum possible to rectify it, correct it. Still something can happen. There one has to bear it up. The skin has the tendency of getting all those negative impacts. We must not keep on thinking all those all the time. ලෙඩක් නැති වෙලාවට ඒව පිළිකුල ගැන හිත ඉන්න එක වැඩක් නැහැ. කරදරයක් ඒවට ලෙඩක් වුණාම ඒවා ඒ හැම පැත්තෙම කල්පනා කරාම යථාර්ථය තේරෙන. එතකොට ගැටුමක් නැතුව අපිට ඉන්න පුළුවන්. We must not keep on thinking all those all the time, but we have to understand the reality when such occurrences emerge. Punachaparam bhikkave Further, bhikkhu imameva kayam, in this body, uddang padatala, from the sole of the feet upwards, uddang padatala. Adho kesamattakana, from the hair of the head downwards, tachaparyantam, covered with or ending in the skin. Purang nanapakarasa asukino, full of various kinds of impurities. That's Pachavikati, reflex. Pratya avekshane karana. Avekshane කියන්නේ දැන් ආවේක්ෂණ කැමරා තියෙනවනේ පාරේ. ඒව ඈත ඉඳන් ගහලා තියෙනවා zoom කරලා බලන්න පුළුවන් number 8 හරියටම නියම පැහැදිලි කරලා. Likewise මේ ප්‍රත්‍ය මේ ජීවිතේ පවත්වන හේතුකාරක ටික ආවේක්ෂණය කරනවා. ප්‍රත්‍යවේක්ෂණ. පච්චවෙක්කති, reflex. These are different phenomena with which I am formed. Pachavekkati. Atti masmin kaya. This body has or includes kesha, hairs of the head, loma, hairs of the skin, naka, nails, danta, teeth, tacho, skin, mansang, flesh, naharu, sinews, nahara, sinews, kandara, and tendons, atti, bones, atti minjan, atamidudu marrow, wakkang, kidney, hadayang, heart, akanang, liver, ilomakang, pleura, lung lining, penahalla uda lining, pihakang, spleen, badadiya, pliha, pappasang, lungs, antang, intestine, antaguna, mesentery, අතුණු බාහන බඩවැල් එල්ලලා තියෙන පතුරු වගේ අන්තගුණ. උදරය, stomach, කරීසන්, viscous, අසුචි, pitta, bile. Bile means kind of secretion of liver. Bile secreted by liver. Stored in the gallbladder. Semhang, phlegm, ubbo, pus, sarav, lohitam, blood, sedo, sweat, medo, fat, asu, tears, masa, grease, kelo, saliva, kela, singanika, nasal mucus, lasika, synovial fluid, that means fluid in the joints, at a cartilage, mutta, urine. So the entity which is taken to be body or life is collection of all these. So we can consider these things separately or together. When we look at a vehicle, it can be really attractive, but if we can dismantle the whole vehicle and heap up the whole parts in one place, then it is not attractive. We don't cling on to that parts when they are together as a heap of vehicle parts, body parts. Likewise, when realistically thinking about all those kind of heaps or phenomena, separately or together, we can understand these things are not permanent. Anything can happen to these things. So they prevail according to their nature, not as we require, not according to our requirement. So they are beyond our control. So if we are wise enough, no reason we can develop kind of egocentric mind. We cannot be egoistic. We cannot consider, we cannot have conceited mind of egoism. So when one gets angry with somebody, we can analyze that person accordingly. We are going to get angry with these kind of dirty things. So what is the use of getting angry? This person is a collection of these kind of dirties, impurities. Now we are getting angry with that kind of collection. No point of impuring our mind. No point of making our mind impure due to these kind of dirties, impurities. So likewise, when we come to the reality of our life, thinking according to this analysis, right, this will greatly help to dilute ego, come to profound understanding. That understanding can be easily turned into wisdom, panya. Panya is deeply understanding the reality, nature of own life. We should understand that life is a collection of all those in particular system and order. They have set in a particular order system, but the entity which is taken to be life is a collection of all those impurities and dirts. They all separately or together never remain the same. Healthy. They never remain healthy, sound, strong, or well functioning. Just imagine that one gets a kidney stone and gets it removed after surgery. But one cannot say such a thing cannot happen again. Because the body has, or body can have causes to re-emerge such complications. So we cannot be away from all those complications as long as we are bound with existence related with this psychophysical life process. So is it with other diseases, complications or ailments. So when there is any particular issue related to any organ or any part of life, we have to go for the reality as we are taught in this teaching. The chemistry and the composition of the organs and the body never remains the same. Now when all those parts, organs are fixed together, they function. But and different chemicals form. So all those, the chemistry or the composition of the organs and the body never remains the same. So it is a process. Anyway, we cannot talk about anything permanent, being it is a life process. We stop loving our life very greedy. With this understanding, we fulfill a lot of human qualities. If we can give up liking to our life, thereby we can fulfill a lot of human qualities. So we know what we have to do is to fulfill our all human qualities up to the zenith, maximum point, apex. We practice compassion and loving kindness towards all beings. We compare to discourage cruelty, anger, hatred, and such negative emotions. Thereafter, we can talk about the four great elements. I think we should stop here for today.